to examine the potential economic impact of this agreement on Kenya and its implications for mineral beneficiation across the African continent. We're joined this evening by Zambian economist Kelvin Chisenga. Good to have you with us, Kelvin. Welcome to Africa in Business.
Thank you so much. My pleasure being with you here.
So, Kelvin, how significant is this proposal or these proposed critical minerals agreement with the United States for Kenya's economy? And this is particularly in terms of job creation, of export earnings and industrialization.
Thank you so much. We understand pretty very well that Africa has a very rare opportunity, especially when you look at the mineral substance that we basically have. And Kenya in particular is positioning itself as a strategic system, trying to bring forth an aspect of value addition in its mineral export. Obviously, Africa in totality is moving from a situation where we should be able to get away with the low material export, but of course looking at value addition in the local market. And that is what Kenya is actually trying to look at, trying to get that mineral processing right in the country.
And that's exactly what President Ruto has said this agreement would do. It would allow strategic minerals to be processed in Kenya rather than exported in raw form. What value could this add, though, to the country's mining sector and to the wider economy?
Okay, first of all, it's actually gets a potential impact of having job creation as the first precursor. Then secondly, it's also widened the aspect of export value, because obviously when you export the processed item, you are increasing your export basket. This will be able to help a number of things from there. And again, we are talking of export diversification processing, which will be also an important aspect that should be able to be put and push forward from there. So it basically changes the whole scenario of economic architecture of Kenya from that perspective.
Now, beneficiation, especially in the area of minerals, has been a key area of concern and dialogue for an extended period of time across the African continent. Why is local processing becoming such an important issue for resource-rich countries on the continent?
Obviously, it brings a number of good telling effects on the table for most of the developing country and much more even advancing countries that we have seen in Africa. So local manufacturing and beneficiation also brings that cascading effect on the local people that are basically interplaying with these minerals. So it's an important aspiration that need to be put in place. So local refining capacity also brings about potential aspect of trying to bring job creation to the nearby citizen from that perspective.
Are there local expertise in order to service the entire value chain?
Well, with the agreement that is being put in place, and also with the investment partnership that is being created with US and many others, I think it will reach a point where there will be that pass-through effect of having skills transfer. So skills development aspect is something that's at the core for most of the African people to ensure that we get to acclimatize with what is happening in that respect. So what we'll be able to see is a situation where the investment partnership can also be able to bridge that gap in terms of trying to cast shadow into our people so they can actually be able to take part in skills development and technological advancement from that perspective.
And what are the kind of lessons that Kenya and I guess other African countries can draw from past experiences where raw materials were exported with limited benefits accruing to the local economies?
Okay, beginning point, Kenya's market is more advanced on the service industry, working on technological, telecommunication and many others, including financial service. So this brings an aspect of diversification on the table, meaning Kenya now is bringing that aspect of diversified scope, which now bringing mine to the fore. Beside even just the aspect of solid minerals, we understand pretty very well what there is Turkana working out with an aspect of bringing the liquid minerals as well. So the broader-based way of trying to grow the economy requires attention in all areas. So Kenya is actually bringing that to the fore to say that policy structure can actually be able to help out change the narrative in terms of diversifying the economy, and that is actually on the table right now.
So looking ahead, what are the various investments and policy measures that African countries will need to put in place in order to ensure that mineral beneficiation does indeed translate to sustainable growth, to technology transfer and the skills transfer that you were talking about earlier on as well, and long-term development and empowerment of the local regions?
Okay, so in terms of policy framework, we need to clearly look at how we can benefit our local people as the first precursor in whatever we're trying to undertake with our FDI and much more with our investment partnerships. It's important to look at investment culture to basically first of all uplift our local market, ensuring that we do not run to the international market with the aspect of processing out there. So we need to cultivate a culture that should be able to help with a policy guideline or direction, which should be able to revamp the local demand with the semi-finished or even fully finished product so that we can be able to export. You know, this of the matter here is that once we export low material aspect of commodity, it basically entails that we are exporting jobs out there. And when we start importing, we are basically importing poverty. So it's important to look at how best can we work with the local market key fundamentals to hold the key fundamental aspect that should be able to be put in place. So the clear message here is that local beneficiation is standing as an important potential power that should be able to change the narrative of our local people. And that is how we can also avoid having high debt contraction and many other bad as effect of the economic factors. Yes, we understand global market is linked to our local market, but we need first to develop the local market, and then you can link into the global market from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kelvin Chisenga, Zambian economist, taking us through the broad strokes of the Kenya-US agreement on minerals beneficiation. What does Kenya have to benefit? Jobs, refining facilities, engineering services, processing plants. Well, for the United States, batteries, electric vehicles, defense technologies. We'll look at this deal as well as it gets closer and closer. As we said, they are on the verge of concluding it. As soon as it has been concluded, we'll dissect it even further.